The Senate will come to order. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will everybody in the chambers and the gallery please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafales, Kerr, Lambert,
You are?
Lundberg, Marble, Martinez Jimenez, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman,
Absent.
Todd, Ulibarri, Woods,
There he is.
Stedman, Mr. President,
Here, with 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Merrifield.
Mr. President, I move that the reading of the Journal of April 7th be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is approved and the Journal is adopted. Committee reports.
April 7, 2015, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 196 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations. A favorable recommendation. April 7, 2015, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 222 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations. A favorable recommendation. April 7, 2015, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 229 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 7, 2015, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 227 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 7, 2015, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 230 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 7, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1153 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 7, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1198 be referred to Committee of the Whole, favorable recommendation, with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 7, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 195 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 7, 2015, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Concurrent Resolution 1 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
April 8, 2015, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 204, correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 100, 216, and 223, correctly revised, House Bill 1095, correctly enrolled, Senate Joint Resolutions 8, 14, and 20.
Message from the House.
April 7, 2015, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes, House Bills 1298, 1304, 1252, 1277, 1243, 1271, 1299, and 1315. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes, House Bill 1002 is amended, House Bill 1016 is amended, House Bill 1146 is amended, House Bill 1205 is amended, House Bill 1268 is amended. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 193, 194, 178, and 138. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes, Senate Bill 110 as amended, and Senate Bill 211 as amended.
Message from the Reviser.
April 7, 2015, we herewith transmit without comment House Bills 1243, 1252, 1271, 1277, 1298, 1299, 1304, and 1315 without comment as amended. House Bills 1002, 1016, 1146, 1205, and 1268 without comment as amended. Senate Bills 110 and 211.
Introduction of bills.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 by Senators Roberts and Stedman, submitting to the registered electors of the state of Colorado an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning procedures related to a citizen-initiated constitutional amendment in a connection therewith requiring prior authorization by a majority of voters at a general election before an initiated constitutional amendment is placed on the ballot at the following odd-year election for the voters to approve or reject, requiring the nonpartisan research staff of the General Assembly to prepare a ballot information booklet prior to an authorization question, and if the question is approved, to conduct public hearings about the amendment in each congressional district prior to the odd-year elections, and excluding from these new requirements an initiative to repeal a provision from a constitutional amendment adopted prior to 2015.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 is assigned to State Veterans and Military Affairs.
House Bill 1019 by Representative Lundin and Senator Woods concerning prostitution by a minor and in connection therewith minors who are victims of human trafficking.
House Bill 1019 is assigned to Judiciary.
House Bill 1220 by Representatives Danielson and Ryden and Senators Cook and Martinez-Humana concerning response to sexual assault on campuses of Colorado's institutions of higher education.
House Bill 1220 is assigned to Education.
House Bill 1300 by Representatives Moreno and Melton, Senator Merrifield concerning the repeal of the prohibition on local governments enacting minimum wage laws.
House Bill 1300 is assigned to State Veterans and Military Affairs. Third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1095.
House Bill 1095 by Representative Carver and Senator Lundberg concerning the extension of an exemption under the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act for certain small common interest communities to include communities created before July 1, 1992, whose declarations limit their annual common expense liability to no more than $300.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1095 and ask for its favorable approval.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1095? The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1095. Are there any no votes? Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Kafalis, Senator Heath, Senator Newell, Senator Jones, Senator Kerr, Senator Guzman, Senator Donovan, Senator Hodge, Senator Aguilar, Senator Garcia, Senator Todd, Senator John, with 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1095 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Grantham, Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, Senator Woods, Senator Cook, Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 204.
Senate Bill 204 by Senators Newell and Lundberg and Representative Singer concerning the independent functioning of the Office of the Child Protection Ombudsman in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move Senate Bill 204 on third and final reading. And before I ask for an aye vote, we are asking for permission to run a third reading technical amendment.
Please explain.
Thank you, Mr. President. The amendment literally is to, two words, to replace board with General Assembly because of the amendment that we ran yesterday.
The request before the body is to offer a third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Granted. Senator Newell.
Oh, hello. That would be a good idea.
Mr. Majors, please read the amendment.
Amendment L011 to Senate Bill 204
Senator
by
Newell.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Amendment 011 to Senate Bill 204.
Is there further discussion? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the amendment is adopted. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, just a little brief point of clarification on the amendment, and that is that we eliminated the word board because the board was replaced with putting the Office of Ombudsman under the state auditor, hence the technical reason. But the real reason for all of this is to ensure the independence of the Office of Ombudsman for child welfare issues. It is critically important that this office have complete independence. And obviously, it's a component of state government, so it has to be somewhere within the three branches of government. And its most close parallel function is that of state auditor. So most appropriately, we did amend it yesterday to place it directly under the Office of the Auditor. And yet, I don't want us to miss the main point, which is for independence, it cannot be within the executive department. That's the point of the bill. Child welfare issues are of critical importance in so many levels. If you just take the news cycle of yesterday and look at other areas, it was a real focus for the state. We have to ensure that this really small component to the overall mix of the state's dealing with children and those unfortunate times when the state has to take a more direct authority over the lives of children when something isn't working right within their family, there needs to be oversight. I have, through my legislative career, run into innumerable instances where there's been a problem somewhere, and when I, as a legislator, or the constituent who's come to me with the problem tries to dig into it, they discover that there's this brick wall of secrecy, which is really necessary in many ways when it comes to confidentiality for children. So there's very little transparency just as a citizen, and yet there needs to be a means to seek justice where the system has been a failure. And it will happen. It will always happen, in every aspect of government at some level. But we need to have those checks and balances in place. And when it comes to child welfare issues, it's vitally important that we have that office, which we call the Office of the Ombudsman, available for recourse when something's gone wrong. And there should be no shadow of concern. Now, hear me, shadow of concern. Not just concern, but no sense that something isn't right here because this ombudsman's office has a connection with the office that we're investigating, or that they are, looking into and finding out what went wrong. Therefore, we are setting this up in Senate Bill 204 in such a way that there should not be even a shadow of concern that there's any conflict of interest. It's for those reasons primarily that I ask for your aye vote today, so that we can look every citizen in the eye and say we've done the very best we can to ensure that the Ombudsman's office is independent and will seek justice, not some consideration that's clouded by any other factor. Simply seek justice for those children and those families that may not have been handled in the best possible fashion. Please vote yes.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 204? Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thought I'd just cover some of the questions that were raised yesterday. I have, over the last week, and particularly the last 3 days, I have gotten information from ombudsmen from across the country who are in the legislative branch. And just wanted to share a couple of the concerns that came up yesterday that have been addressed and then nullified in other states. And one was from the Iowa Office of Ombudsman who said that our legislature has allowed our office to operate independent of any day-to-day oversight by them. My budget and personnel decisions are reviewed and approved annually by the Legislative Council, and then I make an annual presentation about our work to a joint committee, submit an annual report, and as provided by our statute, our office adopts our administrative rules. They have been in operation in the legislative branch. They started out in the governor's branch for 2 years and then went to the legislative branch in 1972 and have been operative there since then. So it is working in other states this way. It is not something new. thought I'd also start out or address the issue of the no evidence that support allegations that the Ombudsman doesn't have autonomy from DHS leadership, which has the ability to either frustrate or interfere with the Ombudsman mission. Last year, there were proposed rules from the department that would have basically forced the Ombudsman to operate outside of his own statute. They would have given CDHS more control of the hiring and firing of the Ombudsman and over when to publicly release the Ombudsman investigative findings. Those were only two of the issues that were brought forward. Due to much pushback from the child advocates from across the state, those were eventually pulled back and refined. That certainly appears to the advocates to be evidence of an attempt of interfering. I am not sure a Type 1 board status within the executive branch would satisfy the public's need to feel confident that the Ombudsman Office is totally independent of CDHS because it would still be housed within CDHS. Or where else would you put it? Department of Agriculture? DORA? These are still reporting up to the governor. The appearance of independence is critical in terms of the public's perception of the independence of the office. The office was created to give the public, including mandatory reporters, foster parents, adoptive parents, parents who are involved with child welfare services, foster care youth, and other concerned citizens as an independent entity to take their concerns and complaints about the child welfare system. In order for members of the public to feel more comfortable approaching the Ombudsman's office, they need to believe that the office is totally independent of the entity that it may be called upon to investigate. Without that confidence, people will be less willing to go to the Ombudsman. We've already heard evidence of that happening. There was testimony from the office in the first hearing that people will call the office with concerns. But once they do, when they learn that the office is located within CDHS, they hang up. They say, I don't want to proceed any further because the public doesn't have confidence in the independence of the office. The effectiveness of the office is seriously compromised. It can't do its job if the public won't use it. It is telling to me also that when the first RFP came out, there were no applicants, which makes me wonder if those who might have applied decided not to because they weren't sure they could do the job located within the CDHS. I understand that there were very few applicants during the second issuance of the RFP, and the organization who won that contract, who has it now, the National Association of Counsel for Children, feels that it can't give the taxpayers their money's worth if the child watchdog is not independent. That organization is not reapplying for that contract. We have also heard that the state auditor did not find evidence that DHS had infringed upon the program's independence. I would point out, however, that the state auditor did point out that an actual or perceived lack of independence can hinder the program's operation and public trust in it. The report also said that we concluded that the current organizational structure of the Ombudsman program may not be ideal to achieve the optimal level of independence necessary to fulfill the legislative goal of the program. It is also pointed out that the department has control of the program contract and decides whether the contract will be renewed and the program staff will continue to have their jobs. According to the auditor, this can affect the program's investigative function and may make staff hesitant to conduct investigations and issue reports that reflect negatively upon the department. Indeed, the audit report stated that program staff indicated that their unease when conducting a department-level investigation, that the contract would not be renewed depending upon the results of the investigation. All of this information is in the auditor's report. It is hard to quantify the return on investment for the Ombudsman Office. Director Bika agreed upon opening of the office that it would take at least 3 years to gather enough data for significance, and he was right about that. Since the office opened, it has fielded hundreds of calls from concerned citizens and professionals, from guardians ad litem, foster parents, county caseworkers, hospital social workers, judges and court staff, CDH employees, legislators, and several counties and the governor's office. Recently, Denver County requested the Ombudsman Office to investigate a situation, and the governor's office had made referrals to the Ombudsman Office. Now, I could go on, and I won't, but I can cite southern Colorado counties. I can cite a judge when the judge called an ombudsman to report that a county had not looked into a case of child abuse the judge had witnessed firsthand and reported. An eastern Colorado county, an urban Colorado county. The ombudsman found concerns with a caseworker in a rural county, and the concerns from the file audit were confidentially shared with the county director, who placed the worker on a performance improvement plan. The county requested this intervention from the Ombudsman Office and not CDHS for undisclosed reasons. The Ombudsman reviewed confidential concerns from a CDHS employee, which had direct implications for the safety of children in state custody. During the course of the review, the complainant withdrew their concerns because they feared retribution from the state. The CDHS director stated that he wanted to know of such complaints directly so that he could address them internally. The bottom line is that these are just a few of the examples of the value and worth of the Child Protection Ombudsman. Years of stakeholder work went into creating this office to ensure that Colorado would step up in every manner possible to protect Colorado children. Maybe we can take a break from protecting children when we honestly feel like the job is done. Are we there yet? When we are able to open the newspaper without reading about unimaginable child abuse fatalities, we can stand down. When we can see an annual decline instead of an annual increase in child abuse reports, we can stand down. When foster children feel heard, when they complain about caseworkers who don't respond to their calls and needs, we can stand down. When doctors and judges have enough faith in child protection to make reports, which they do not have now, we can stand down. When annual child abuse fatalities in our state do not equal the number of children in an average public classroom, we can stand down. But we aren't there yet on any of these measures. It would not only be irresponsible to compromise the responsibility of the Ombudsman Office, it would be immoral and even criminal to not put forth out every effort to protect children in Colorado. The abused children in care today are there on our watch. Do we choose to thin down the number of watchful eyes trying to ensure their protection? Do we give away our ability to hold government accountable for the care and protection of our most vulnerable children? We should not on our watch. Last night, some very broken children arrived in foster care or residential treatment with only a trash bag containing a few of their belongings. Many of those grown children will tell you today that our current system failed them over and over. Colorado cannot afford to remove one protective factor as valuable and impactful as the Ombudsman Office. Those children do not have a voice here today. They only have our votes. It is our duty to ensure the independence of Colorado's Child Protection Ombudsman so it can do its job freely, and the public will have confidence that we are all doing everything possible to keep kids safe in Colorado. And with that, Mr. President, I ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 204.
The motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 204. Is there further discussion? Are there any no votes? Senator Crowder? Senator Jones? With 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 204 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader. Minority Leader Carroll. Senator Merrifield. Senator Roberts. Senator Lambert. Senator Guzman. Senator Grantham. Senator Scott. Senator Todd. Senator Marble. Senator Aguilar. Senator Kafalis. Senator John. Please add the President. General Order, second reading of bills. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate lay over the General Order's second reading of bills calendar, which includes Senate Bill 209 to April 9th.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The Senate will lay over General Order's second reading of bills until April 9th. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 22?
Senate Joint Resolution 22 by Senator Newell and Representative Lee concerning recognition of October as Conflict Resolution Month in Colorado.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 22 and ask for it be to read at length down to line 4 on page 3.
Clarify your motion to line 4 on page 1. On page 3.
Whereas, conflict resolution encompasses many forms of responses to differences, such as mediation, arbitration, facilitation, collaborative decision-making, ombuds activities, and restorative justice. And whereas these conflict resolution processes empower individuals, families, communities, organizations, and businesses to foster communication and devise solutions that are acceptable and responsive to the needs and interests of all parties involved. And whereas conflict resolution is taught and practiced by citizens in many school systems, universities, and graduate programs throughout Colorado and the world as a way of solving disputes. And whereas community-based conflict resolution programs work to strengthen local relationships by fairly and equitably resolving neighborhood and community conflicts and opening community dialogues based in reason and mutual respect. And whereas professional associations of conflict mediators promote peaceful and creative resolutions to disputes. And whereas the General Assembly in passing House Joint Resolution 97-1020 demonstrated its support of alternative dispute resolution, ADR, because of the cost and time savings that ADR brings to the handling of disputes by the state court system. And whereas additional benefits produce in appropriate cases through facilitative, party-centered mediation include more creative and more durable interest-based resolution, increased satisfaction for the parties who are active participants and ultimate decision-makers in the negotiation, and the preservation of personal relationships, thereby decreasing the likelihood of strained relations among the parties and further disputes. And whereas the Colorado Legislature's reputation for working across party lines to enact sound policy has had a very real impact on economic progress and job creation throughout the state. And whereas Governor John Hickenlooper has proclaimed the month of October to be Conflict Resolution Month in the state of Colorado. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 70th General Assembly of the state of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, join the governor in recognizing October 2015 as Conflict Resolution Month in the state. that we invite Coloradans to create events that celebrate and promote the use of productive conflict resolution in their communities, that we call upon leaders across the state to use Conflict Resolution Month as an occasion to discuss the principles and use the practices of conflict resolution in their homes, schools, neighborhoods, congregations, and workplaces, and that we encourage every citizen of the state to reflect upon the conflicts present in his or her own life and to work responsibly to peacefully resolve those conflicts.
Senator Newell?
Thank you, Mr. President. I did want to say just a few words about Conflict Resolution Month. It is the 8th year that we've had Conflict Resolution Month in Colorado, and most states have Conflict Resolution Day, which is in its 11th year. But we decided a few years back to have a month because a day wasn't enough to have the teaching and the awareness out there of alternative ways to resolve disputes. So we are lucky in this state that we have a governor who is so supportive of conflict resolution, mediation, facilitation, and that kind of alternative dispute resolution. Conflict is all around us, especially in this building, and it is inevitable when values collide, emotions are intense, or stakes are high. We can see conflict at home, in school, at work, or even at church. So October is a month when we can be more aware of our own behaviors, learn new techniques, or problem solving, or role model civility in our communities. It's a time when we can transcend our usual ways of handling conflict in our lives and look to best practices of conflict resolution, alternative dispute resolution, and when we can honor those practitioners in our communities who lead us to win-win scenarios through creative brainstorming, facilitation, and mediation. In the summer, each of you will receive a Conflict Resolution Month packet with tools and tips you can use for your own life or share in your district. You will get one of these brochures, and if you need more, you are welcome to ask for them. We can have people come out to your town halls, speak at your town halls about giving conflict management tips, or how do I seek out mediators and facilitators. If you're interested in finding out more about ADR, mediation, facilitation, or restorative justice, you can contact the Conflict Resolution Month group. And I have those contacts for you. The costs of conflict are so expensive in dollars and human costs in the workplace, from loss of productivity, absenteeism, turnover, or even litigation. These are neutral facilitators who have joined us today on the floor, who can help us not only in resolving our conflict, but avoid litigation costs and maintain our relationships with our neighbors, coworkers, or business partners. It is amazing to hear their stories about the most common conflicts that they help resolve. You would be amazed at some of the fascinating conflicts that people can get into, especially neighbor to neighbor. Those are, to me, the most interesting. Today, we have in the chamber our conflict resolution and alternative dispute resolution practitioners from various organizations like the Conflict Resolution Month Synergizer Group, the Mediation Association of Colorado, and I'd like to honor them today in their role toward a civil, respectful Colorado community as we remind each other and every year of the possibilities in resolving or preventing conflict. We will someday meet our goal of being the most civil state in the Union. Please join me in voting aye for Senate Joint Resolution 22.
Is there further discussion or debate? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 amenable ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 22 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the current roll call to be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. And may I offer that we have practitioners from across the state, alternative dispute resolution practitioners from across the state here. So I will try to find your own. They're from various districts, and I'll try to find your own constituents here.
I just appreciate you citing Conflict Resolution Month as the month I was born. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colleagues, please help us welcome Senator Newell's guests. Conference committees. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1072. No? The report.
First report of First Conference Committee on House Bill 1072 to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Your First Conference Committee appointed on House Bill 1072 concerning harassment through an interactive electronic medium has met and reports that it has agreed upon the following: that the House accede to the Senate amendment made to the bill as the amendment appears in the re-revised bill with the following changes respectfully submitted. Representatives Fields, Kagan, and Quorum. Senators Newell, Roberts, and Cook. First report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1204. This report amends the re-revised bill to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Your First Conference Committee appointed on House Bill 1204 concerning the creation of a distillery pub license has met and reports that it has agreed upon the following: that the House accede to the Senate amendment made to the bill as the amendment appears in the re-revised bill with the following change. Respectfully submitted, Representatives Pabon, Lontine, and Tate, and Senators Woods, Grantham, and Kerr.
Announcements. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I do have an announcement. Today is the Behavioral Health Caucus, and we are looking actually at, we're hearing from the mental health community on a few of the bills. So we are, well, I don't have the announcement with me. I can't remember where we are, but I think we're in the basement. One of the committee rooms in the basement at noon. Would love to have you there. Thank you.
Further announcements. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to let you know that today is the students are here from the Anschutz Medical Campus Advocacy, but they're over in the house right now. So if you'll see them, they're walking around with white coats. You know, stop and welcome them to the Capitol. These are PAs, nurses, nurse practitioners, nurses, future doctors, and they are a very impressive group of young people. But I think if you, unfortunately, they're not here to be welcomed officially, but if you see them, welcome them to the Capitol. Thank you.
Further announcements. Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to make you aware, Appropriations Committee, we will be meeting on Friday morning at 7:30. We have a long list to go through that morning. Mostly just the Senate bills, but I want you to be aware of that. And for the members that have those bills that have been waiting on that calendar, be aware when that list comes out. We will just be aware of the bills that you have that will be coming up in appropes, because it'll be a long morning, and we got a lot of work to do on Friday morning getting through those bills. So be ready for that. 7:30 Friday morning, 3:56.
Further announcements. Right after another committee report.
April 7, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Local Government is under consideration as a hearing on the following appointment. Recommends the appointment be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the State Housing Board for a term expiring January 31st, 2019, Letitia Jones Horace of Denver, Colorado, Democrat and resident of the 1st Congressional District, appointed.
Additional announcements. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the Senate adjourn to 9 a.m. Thursday, April 9th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will be adjourned until 9 a.m. Thursday, April 9th.